All right, Olivia, we just shared with our listeners about our three exciting programs that the Embracing Only podcast is launching here as part of our brand new 2023 Mastermind series. With that, could you share with our listeners and our viewers what does the Guiding Light program entail?
Absolutely. So, the Guiding Light program is really a program to help women understand exactly what it is that they want out of their careers and then make a decision whether their current place of employment will offer them these opportunities or if it's better to leave and try to accomplish their goals someplace else. So, it's really about becoming super clear, very, very clear and very specific about what it is you want out of your career and erasing kind of that ambiguity and that fear that prevents us from making a change if we're unclear whether we're making the right decision or not. So people will walk away from this program with extreme clarity that they can either deploy a new strategy where they are to reach their goals or take this clarity and strategy to another place of employment where the odds are a little better.
Okay, no, now we're confusing it because the guiding light is they've chosen to stay in this company, stay in
No,
this.
guiding light is making the decision. Empower transition is you've already made the decision to leave. How do I leave without blowing up my life?
But let's, because I also want us to talk about your, you said, how do you ask for a promotion, how do you ask for a raise, how do you ask for that next opportunity, how do you accelerate your existing career? I'm just reading the different bullet points, like,
Okay,
so.
so you want me to go into all, I kind of summarize that as career strategy, but sure,
Yeah,
I can
go
break
into
that
the
down.
specifics so that you're like, yeah, whatever you said at the beginning was good, but then that, so what does this mean and what can you expect, because this is the longer version of the recording. What can you expect out of this? How do if you're looking to seek to ask for a promotion, blah blah blah, we'll give you ABCD in the 60-minute self-learning program with Guiding Light.
So, so this one we really want it to be promotion focused.
So this one was they're in their current career, because that was one of the challenge, right? Like, you chosen to stay in your current career. How do you how do you ask for your promotion? How do you ask for your raise? How do you work, like, how do you accelerate your existing career to get to have the career you seek? Because that is what, where you were like, that's the initial one. And the other one was, well, you're not sure, are you in a toxic work environment, are you not in a toxic work environment, what are the choices you have, what are the transition things you need to consider, and what are the tools and tips to help you get transition out. That's the transition piece, the empowered transition. And the VIP day coaching is that whichever direction they choose, whether it be what is it called, empowered transition or guiding light, we give them like about 4 hours of our time through the course of a full day, where we focus on their specific problem versus them just hearing a generic, like, 1 hour recording, which is still useful with regards to what value we will drive for them, but it'll get more specific into like tips and tactics for their situation.
Okay. Okay. So full transparency, I had gone a different direction. So this one is more about promotions and asking for a raise.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is what like, again, if you want to change it, we can, but we wanted to kind of separate the two because we wanted to showcase that you want to stay within your current career, you want to drive, you want to accelerate, you want to do great things, but you're not quite sure how best to do it. Because this was the example of the lady that you were working with, that you gave. She sought to have like 80,000 or whatever, I can't remember the number that was, and you helped map it out for her through that book that you were working on,
yes.
trauma based book, whatever it was. And then she was able to like articulate, wow, I can actually make 80,000 or whatever she was making, like crap, after getting an MBA or a master's or something like that. I can't remember all the specifics.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Because those would be two kinds of people, right? People who are like, hey, I have this job, I want to keep on to this job, but how do I make more than what I'm getting paid today? Or not just make more, but how do I drive clarity on? Because the other thing you said is, you said this yesterday when we were talking, was choices, not choices. You said people don't know what they want, or something like that, you said, which you say this a lot, right? People don't know what they want. So they don't know what they want, they can't ask for what they need. And that's what you are trying to help them drive and deliver is, let's drive clarity on what is it that you want, so you can go sit down and talk to your manager about, this is what I want, and this is what I need to help me get there, because otherwise your manager is going to be in the driver's seat of your career, and that's going to be that.
Okay. Okay, I think so then is what I said for the longer one that we just, is that still accurate and good?
I'll use it for
Because
something else, but no, let's just re-record that piece for guiding light, like
yeah,
fully.
because I was looking at that as helping people make the decision whether to stay or go.
Yeah, but no, that was not the focus of guiding light. Guiding light was they're in their careers, they want to be in their careers. You're now in that position of wanting to stay and go, that's why your head is thinking about that. But the guiding light was like, it was rooted on this lady, because I'm thinking of our audience. You have an audience that wants to stay in their career, that's it, they want to be there. Now as part of that, they probably may decide, like, I don't want to stay, I want to go. And they're on that fence, and that's what that empowered transition is. And we would like contribute to both of these, but this was like your like meat and potatoes, which was, you're here, like, how do you make the most of your career to thrive as that only in the workplace, versus whatever the other option is, survive and be like, oh, I should be thankful I have this job, and I should be tapped to like get whatever opportunity, blah blah blah.
Yes. Okay. All right. I'm on it.
Okay, all good. Okay, go ahead whenever you're ready. So I'll kick it off. So Olivia, so we just Olivia, we've just launched to our. So Olivia, I'm so excited about the Guiding Light program. Can you share with our viewers and listeners a little bit more about what they can expect if they are to sign up to the 60-minute self-learning Guiding Light program as a mid or late career woman professional?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Archita. So I'm really excited about the Guiding Light program. It's a 1 hour program, and what we will be talking about is really how can you accelerate your career in your current company. So we're going to talk about how to get super clear about what it is that you want, how you can translate that clarity into a strategy to negotiate a raise, to negotiate a promotion, or to land that next opportunity that you're looking for. So this one is really about getting super, super clear on your goals and then getting us to the place where we have worked up the courage to ask for exactly what it is that we want instead of waiting to be tapped. So this is about control of your career and accelerating your career growth once we've created a strategy.
I love that, Olivia. We find so many women in that place. So if you're interested and want to sign up and be one of the first cohort members, click the link below. Okay. Um, Now you have to ask me the question about what is empowered transition, and I hopefully will like say it right.
Okay, and just start whenever.
Yes.
Hey, Archita. Super pumped for our offerings here starting in January. Could you give our listeners a little bit more information about what Empowered Transition is all about and what they can expect from this offering?
Absolutely, Olivia. So the Empowered Transition Program is focused on that mid career or late career woman professional who has been extremely successful either at a company or at multiple different companies and roles, but is seeking to finally make that decision to transition out of their workplace. Whether due to circumstances presented to them that are within their control or out of their control, they may be unsure of how to make that transition out of the workplace itself, because they may feel like they're limited with the choices they have. They may be considering, well, am I in a toxic work environment, or is it just that this is a season or a period of tough work? What we want to drive clarity on through the Empowered Transition program is what you should and should not tolerate in a workplace. We're going to give you language and education around what is a toxic work environment, what are some of those experiences within a toxic work environment, How do you thrive? And if you choose to leave, that's a choice you have to make. What are the different options you do have to accelerate that transition out of your workplace? So, whether that be tools on updating your CV, or whether that be tools with regards to what to consider when you're seeking that next place of employment to ensure you're within a more healthier and psychological safe workplace, so you can continue to thrive in any of the places that you choose to step into. So we're really yeah, step into.
Well, we're really excited about this, Archita, and I think this is going to be helpful for so many women. So if this sounds like you and you are interested in joining us, please click the link below and we'll see you there.
Thank you. I was like looking at another screen. I'm like, if you're really enjoying this, I was like, oh, no, not my topic. Um, and so basically, so now when we're looking at like our, the way I was looking at recording the actual program, Olivia, was to your point, not presentation style at all. So no PowerPoints. So just don't worry about any kind of visual aid. I will add those as you are speaking. So say you say the three most important things I want you to take away from this program. I will pop it up as you're speaking because I can add that animation later. Because we want only our faces up the entire time, because people are like more likely to focus. And if you want to make it into three chapters, then this gives people a chance to stop, go back, and come back to like then kick off chapter 2 and chapter 3 or whatever. I'm just giving an example here in that 1 hour session. And what I will do is I'll create like these transition slides that I can add in to cut up your like overall like presentation as well, so people know how they can engage with you over that 1 hour.
Okay. And you know what I was thinking too? I wonder, would it be engaging for a portion of it for us to be on there together and asking questions? So you could be like, what if you had this situation? And we can talk, we
Yeah, we could do
can,
like a frequently asked questions at the end and leave like, so for both of our sections, we could do like maybe 10 to 15 minutes of that for both of our
okay.
sections.
Yeah, I
Like,
think so. Down at the end, because once we go through the content, I think it'd be great for you to take a look at it and then be like, okay, they may have XYZ questions, and maybe we answer those
I like it. I love it. Yeah.
at the
So, and
end.
I'll plan to record for 45 minutes and give 10 to 15 minutes for the Q&A in my section, and then we'll have you do the same. I was just been watching a few of the other people who do this just to get a sense of how do they speak to the camera. It's like high energy. It depends because every person has such a different personality, of course. This one lady is like the one I sent you, the Jocelyn Kelly Reid. I like she is a character, but I love her energy. But it's like so true to who she is. So you're just like, okay, like I'm listening, but I could not watch her full hour in that 1 hour. So I watched a little bit, then I went away, I came back and I watched a little bit more because that's maybe my terrible attention span. But I think most people don't have the attention span to sit for an hour unless they're committed to like making notes and like driving what they need to drive. Oh, the one thing, Olivia, as you're working on your thing, if there's like a worksheet you want to create, just send me the questions and I've created like a couple of templates. I'll put it into the same template as well.
Yeah, I think
And don't give away everything in this one because you want them to like sign up for that VIP coaching day.
yeah, so I had initially done this guiding light. I think I sent it to you, and I put successful but unfilled, ready to find your purpose, don't know where to start, waiting to be tapped for your next opportunity, working hard, still feeling invisible. Um, and then I have my whole little script here. So the worksheet that I have for them are really questions to ask. It's helping people to understand their brand, Archita. It's questions around their brand. So obviously you need to know your brand if you're going to be pushing for a promotion. Like you can't be invisible to how people
Perceive
receive
you.
you. So the worksheet is really like the key people that you need input from, specific questions to ask to understand where you
Love it.
are in the organization. So that'll be the worksheet. I have it done. I just need to send it to you.
And it doesn't have to look
Um,
pretty or anything. It just can just be questions, and I'll put it in the template. I have so much raging self doubt. You have no idea right now. It's fucking insane.
why?
It's so crazy. No, I'm excited about all this momentum because there's momentum here. There's momentum with like people like, I'm trying to figure out how am I going to earn my income, right? So I have all these meetings lined up. I had a meeting this morning with these people. They were pitching for me to be their CMO. It's like a startup, but I was like, the pay is like not even remotely close to what I want. So I was pitching back to them, being a fractional CMO, like doing part-time work for them. So I earn the same amount of money, but give them 10 hours of my time because that's how much it would equate to. And I would do that with two other clients. But then I'm sitting with like raging self-doubt is like, and I know it's not true. Like the reason why I got laid off is not because I was incompetent or anything like that. But you know what I mean? Like it's fucking annoying. Like I literally, it's annoying at me because I'm like, if I could not even make it in an industry outside of fucking Striker, like which is dumb. But I'm like, because I know the value I add. Anyway, it's better. I just wanted to say it out loud because it's making me feel better about how stupid it is. But these people are like, oh no, we would love to have you because they're going to Series A funding and they need someone who looks credible on their books,
Hmm.
for Series A funding to be like, oh, this person's going to be our CMO. So I'm like, great, but this is the only way I can join. And then I'm like, oh, do I make the leap now? Like, do I wait because I don't have to, like, I'm continuing to get paid till the end of April because I've still not signed anything with this company. Because I'm like, fuck this. My lawyers like don't sign anything. So they keep dragging their feet because we sent a term sheet, they came back and I was like, I don't like what's there, and we're waiting on their response to see if they will change something. um so I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to wait, but I feel like, yes, end of April, but there's just still so much, I need to accelerate and get done. So
I mean, Archita, a couple things. One, I think the universe has granted you a gift, my love.
yes.
Like, you are getting paid until April.
Yeah.
So you have so much time to take a breath and figure out what it is that you want to do. And I love the idea of you being, pitching to the startup like, hey, you guys can't afford me, but I'm willing to help you out, but this is what this will
Look
look
like,
like. You're living life on your terms,
I
right? Like
know that's what feels
that is
empowering.
amazing. That
Yeah,
is amazing.
that feels really empowering because I have two other meetings, one this week and one next week. And then also Anu told me the spookfish thing, in the mix of all of this. And I'm just like, well, but at the same time, I have this raging self-doubt, like I can't live the life I want. Like, which is so crazy. I know, it's just like, I think it's today, I don't know what it is, like in the midst of all of this, where I'm just like, what if this doesn't work out? What if they say this? But at the same time, I'm like, fuck it, I'll keep creating opportunity for myself. I cannot let that get in the way of how I'm thinking about my life, so crazy. And that's why I'm just like, okay, so this is great momentum because if I want to see this through. I want to see how people like stick with, we start getting people to join this program, because I want to record this as well, because I feel like I keep talking about, because someone posted something the other day, is like, giving advice offline is personal growth. Giving advice online and charging for it is business, right? And that's what we want to be doing, is fucking
Yes.
business. um and so I'm just like, okay, I think this will, like, this week I want to get both of our like things done, and then like start this, because we have the ability to start making money off of this thing, like right away, because I think people will pay 50 freaking bucks for that initial offering, and I'm confident people will pay like 750 a person for like a day's worth of like coaching one-on-one, and we target it for certain people. But there's all of this, like, it's like a fucking storm in my head right now, between this and then, like, all these decisions and these conversations. But to your point, I really felt very empowered when I was like, this is the only way I can work with you, otherwise, I mean, I would not consider it. But then I'm just like, shit, what if I suck? Like, what if I'm not good? And what do they want, this and that, and I'm like, and then I go onto their social media and it's all about like Web3 and blah blah blah, and I'm like, what the fuck. So anyway, so random. It's you know what the startup is about? It's a brand new university. It's called Tomorrow University. It's gone through two series of funding, and it's focused on providing education in an accessible way to people about things like, the future, which is responsible marketing, sustainability, etc., that companies need to hire for, like, now and in the future. And I was like, okay, that really ties into, like, one, what I'm like, like, kind of at the core of my values, right? Like accessibility, fairness, living a more responsible, like, life, not sustainable because I'm not even remotely on that journey yet, but more responsible, like marketing, etc. So I just randomly, like, applied for it, and then they were like, oh my god, this is, your expectation is this, but ours is only this. And I'm like, let's just chat, maybe we'll find a solution. So,
Yeah, I mean, Archita, it sounds like a good opportunity, right? And you said it earlier, so I'm just going to say your own words back to you. You're creating your own opportunities. So when you are the creator of your own opportunities, you don't have to worry because whether it works out or it doesn't, you'll just create another one.
I
You
know, but
infinite possibilities.
I'm like trying to break away from, I'm really still breaking away from historical, like, correctedness of what opportunity creation looks like, you know
Are
so
you living in the now, Archita?
no, I'm not. Of course not. I literally told myself this as I was walking. I went to go get some groceries earlier, and I just finished that call this morning, and I was like, live in the now, damn it. Like, that is not matter how, because, but it's like conditioning. It's like conditioning for, like, 18 years at Striker is, you, opportunity is created if you do this, 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 and this, and then someone then decides it's now time and she's ready for her to go get this. You know, no matter how much you fucking advocate for yourself and, like, have other people advocate for you, it's ultimately left to some rando's decision. And I'm like, fuck, like, I have insane privilege at the moment to be able to be in a position to create this. I also raised my hand up in this WhatsApp group I am in, and a nonprofit CEO was like, oh, I'm seeking out a CEO coach for, like, marketing strategy and organizational strategy and leadership strategy. And everyone was throwing out different people's names, and I was like, I'm raising my hand up to be your coach, because I'm like, fuck, I can do it.
Of
Like,
course you
not,
can.
I wouldn't screw them up in any way. So I was thinking also that when we pitch our VIP day, we write those people, because nonprofit CEOs are desperate for profit brains like ours, because they do not know how to run a business as well. They don't understand leadership strategy, like the basic principles of leadership strategy. So I feel like that. So then I was like, so yeah, my mind is such a jumble, as you can imagine. So I'm just like,
I
Achita.
mean, that's a good next offering if you think about it, right? Like leadership strategies for nonprofit leaders.
Yeah,
It's a great next.
that could be our, like, if this thing, like, not if this thing takes off or not, irrespective. I think that's an opportunity for us to, like, explore.
Exactly. I mean, the great thing about what we're doing, we can crank out infinite videos, Archita.
Yeah,
Some are going to do better than others depending what it is the market needs. But everything, once we create it, it's there for forever to bring in passive income, right? So I mean, we can do whatever we want and we can
100%.
adjust.
That's why this, like, 1 hour self learning is way better, because it takes lesser time commitment. It's just there in the universe. And then this VIP day is like the generating. And if it comes to a momentum where it's significant, then bingo.
Yes.
We can even increase it, because we have, yeah, there's a coach that offers up to, like, yeah, people offer some insane amounts of money for some of this stuff. So we shall get there. And I have to work on this personal page as well, because I want to also work on, like, marketing strategy, whatever. So I'm like trying to create, like, a personal web page to say that, okay, where do I land and how do we hit? But then somebody asked me this, I don't know, was it you who asked me this very profound question, or someone else? I don't know who it was. Maybe it was you, because you ask a lot of profound questions. Was, is this marketing strategy stuff what you want to do, or is it something that you're just good at?
It was me. I
Oh,
totally asked you that question.
yeah. And I literally have been so much so reflecting on this, and it keeps coming down to like I literally have this cloud diagram on like it is what I'm great at, but I know I can make money on, like literally, like I was like, ugh, so exhausting. I literally had different options to earn the wealth I seek while doing what I love, what I'm great at, and what people will pay me for. And I'm like, do I need a Venn diagram of all three, or do I just focus on what I love?
I think you just focus on what you love because if you're doing what you love, the money will come. So, and Christy's the one that said this to me. The focus can't be the money. The focus has to be what you love, which will bring the money because you love it. You'll work on it tirelessly. It won't burn you out. The money will come, right? So, a lot of us mess up by thinking the other way around, like what can I do that's going to make me money? Which eventually burns us out because it's not what we're super passionate about. And we get stuck in this cycle of like doing stuff for money, but it's not what our heart desires. And then eventually you forget what your heart desires because you've numbed yourself to do what makes you money.
I know, but it's like, yeah, I know. I don't want to take your time just talking about my fucking situation right now, but
No, but I think it's relevant, Archita, and your personal situation is what we're going to be helping women with. Like
100%.
you, right? Like
No,
both
100.
of us have gone through things that we can share that are real, right?
Yeah,
Like the self-doubt, the like unsure about the move you're making, like how the hell do you even go about deciding is this something you're passionate about or is it just something you're good at, right? Like
yeah.
even having that transparent conversation, I think will really resonate with people.
It will. Well, I mean, I literally have written down like I wrote down one, two, three, four, five, six things, and I said, "What am?" I wrote on top of that, "What makes me feel alive? Very, very, very alive, most alive, and half dead." And you know what? I wrote down was half dead. If I went back, because I wrote down people I would reach out to. It's an option, right? This is an option that I could still pursue because it could pay me money, and I'm great at it. But I would feel half dead at it, and it's full time job with a company.
There
And
you go.
I don't want that. But I'm just like,
But I'm curious why you laugh at that, right? Like these companies aren't the only way. Like think about this digital marketing age that we're in. Like people are literally just selling Amazon products from home. Like where's the
oh,
passion in that? Making a
full-time job.
fuck ton of money so that they can go do whatever the hell it is that they want, right? So it's the great lie, Archita, of our generation that
Right.
you have to be attached to some big name company to be relevant. That just isn't true anymore.
Yeah. But you need to be, but it's bizarre because you kind of need to be attached to something. Because every time I get approached for like a consulting opportunity or something, people are like, oh, which company are you associated with? And it's like, uh, Archita Fritz. That's the fucking
So,
brand I'm
so
associated.
how you answer is that you are a marketing leader at a major medical device company for 18 years. You have extreme experience there. You also guided a startup to the point, and you could say this, I guided them to the point where they didn't need me anymore. And so now I'm doing consulting because I want to help elevate companies' marketing experience, but I don't necessarily want to be there. I want to be free to do this for as many people as possible. That's what you say to them.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, that's what I said to this lady this morning because she's like, "Oh, you've been there for 1 year." I'm like, "Yes, this was an opportunity to like transition out of the corporate workplace. I got them to the point they needed to get to, but because I had not told anyone that I don't have a job, like because I technically still am employed, and it's they don't need to know because I'm still
Mhm.
getting paid. I'm employed, whatever. But I'm like, I'm at that point where they don't need me anymore, and I'm ready to go do this for more people, and this is the model I want within this. But having said that, like I was talking to them, but to your point, that falls into the half dead category because I don't want to be working with companies. I want to be working with the Archita brand. You know what I mean? Like I literally want to be going and doing this. Uh, wrote down very most alive was embracing only venture. This master class, most alive was storytelling for. I said I would be very alive doing like corporate or med tech storytelling, whatever. Very, very alive is keynote speaker. But I'm like, why would they pay me to? And I literally, and this is because I put this on LinkedIn once, and one of my friends recently in one of the WhatsApp groups, she was like, Achita, you're cheerleader in chief. And I'm like, oh my God. That is absolutely me. And I literally put it on LinkedIn. But I'm like, who the fuck will pay me to be a keynote speaker, to be a cheerleader in chief? But the reality is that any kind of group or team or like anything I'm a part of, I I'm the person people seek out to give them that I said, right, the talk they need to go help them do the things they didn't think they could do. But I'm like, why would anyone pay me for that? So I'm like, what is the story behind achieving that? Like, how do I? What is it that I communicate or whatever? So, what you made my life? Can't all the answers just be there?
Honestly, Archie, but I mean, at the end of the day, we don't need to know the how. We just need to know this is what we want to do, and the universe will figure out the how for us. So if that's what you want to do, I mean, put it out there.
Right.
Keynote speaker for empowering your workforce, for leadership strategies, for whatever it is that you would talk about, and then put that shit on LinkedIn and say, great resignation is happening. If you're looking for someone to fire up your workforce and help them believe that they can be successful, I'm your girl. If you're looking for some, you know what I mean? Like, don't doubt yourself. Just put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Yeah, fair point with the putting it out in the universe. 100%. I'm
And you
like,
know what's funny? I was thinking about this too, Archita, like what I want to do. And the keynote speaking, how long have I been saying that that
forever.
I've been wanting to do this? But Striker, so remember when they gave me the whole talking to you about like a coaching program would be a conflict of interest?
Oh,
Do you
yes,
remember this?
yes, yes, yes.
So I'm like, I don't know that I can post what we're doing on my personal LinkedIn page because
Uh,
they've already given me a warning shot about that. So I think we can post it on our embracing only.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But to post it on my personal might get me in trouble. A.
Okay.
B, I think from a keynote perspective, I had another random girl from Stryker reach out to me yesterday wanting to connect from like neurosurgical or something, like a business that I never had any contact with, saying that she watched my only speech, the one that brought us together from like, what was that, 2019,
Yes.
and decided that we need to be friends. So it's like, I want to take that and do a TED talk, right?
Yeah.
Like
But I was thinking about
literally the same
speaker
speech
reel.
to do a TED talk.
You need
Hmm?
to create a speaker reel, like a short speaker reel that you can then send to these people, like TED and everything else, because that's how these things stick. Is that you need like a highlight reel of doing that speech. Do you have it from somewhere? Oh no, you have it from Swin. Oh no, but you
Yeah,
can't
I
use
have
it.
a recording from Swin. Can I
Right.
use that?
No, you can't use that. It's company property. You can't use that. But it's irrelevant. Like you could also just do this on the computer like this, record the whole thing like this, like with the background and everything else, and then just do the full recording and then take a highlight from it and pitch it to TED. Just do it and find your local TEDx because that's how it sticks initially. So say like look at your university TEDx's because you have a lot of universities in Florida. They'll have their own TEDx's and pitch it to them is that you have so many people stepping out of university, look going to be onlys in the workplace. This is a talk. This is my highlight reel from the talk. Um, blah blah blah. Let me know when you have the next TEDx because the TEDx's are more accessible, and because you have universities, it's even more accessible because there'll be one person in charge of it, and then they could invite you to like do the talk, and then if it goes really well, they'll get sponsors to publish your talk, and then you're on TEDx, and then that could be then taken up by TED
Okay.
because you have the verbiage. You actually
Yeah,
have
I
your
mean, it's
like,
my personal story. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's the first half is just my personal story, and then there's a little bit of data validating the
which is great.
experience
Yeah.
from
And you can
McKinsey.
re-record it with like new McKinsey data, the one that's like you can
Right.
look at like the now present data and add to that when you pitch it to these people. It'll be like totally worth it because what I've recognized is that that's what I've got to work on is what the fuck is my story, because I have like this I have this perfect story. It's the immigrant life vest story that is like, and I've given speeches on in a few different places and it's like resonated like crazy, but I haven't pulled it all together. Like I've given like a 2 minute, a 3 minute, a 7 minute, and a 12 minute, but nothing longer. and I'm just like, I need to like work on that, because that's the, you have a finished product, so you just need to like record it, pitch it, and just see, and pitch to universities seriously, or even like your local TED, like you'll find it, because like Connecticut, like Hartford, the cities have their own TEDx's as well
I'm
outside.
gonna look into that right now because I definitely want to do it. It's an easy thing to accomplish because you're right.
You have the content. Yes.
I have the content
Yes.
already.
Yes.
Okay.
Do it.
And as far as your story, I mean, you have to hone into what part of your story because your whole story is fantastic. Culturally, you're an immigrant, the whole journey to get employment, the anxiety that comes with that, feeling trapped, not being able to control your own destiny. Then you get into a company that you think is, the end all be all, and you experience the most gaslighting, toxicity from another female at
Yeah.
that, right? So your story definitely pairs nicely with a lot of the conversation around how white women don't do us any good, right? Like this whole DEI story, there's no intersection for women of color, and most of the times we are damaged by other women for whatever reason. So you're a survivor of workplace toxicity, and you're the ultimate only in the form of an immigrant. Like holy shit, your story is powerful.
No, so so, no, I think there is, the thing is that, to your point, is focus, because there's a woman who's writing a book. Oh, no, she's one of them when we interviewed for our podcast. She's writing some damn book. I don't even know what the fuck the book's focus is, but it's something to do with an intersection of neurological, workplace safety, blah blah blah. So she'd asked me for a whole blurb about why did we start the podcast originally? What has been my experience as a woman of color in the workplace? But as I was writing it, it took me like 4 weeks to even get to it, because I was like, what the fuck am I going to say? Like, it's so complicated. But then one day I was like, okay, this is the final fucking day I have to give it to her. I just wrote it out. And as I was writing it, I was remembering like aspects of my story that I sometimes don't even consider, you know? And that's stuff that people need to hear because they're going through similar experiences. Um, so yeah, I need to figure it out. But anyway, part and parcel of the joyous situation. But okay, so we've got a couple of deadlines. So this end of this week, we both need to complete our 45-minute recording for this website thing launch, and then over the weekend we do the 15-minute recordings of Q&A
Oh, okay. So you want me to just record the guiding light and then we'll do the 15-minute recording this weekend.
this weekend. Yes, and then the 12th, which is in 2 days, we have the recording with Regina from the White Woman book. I need to still like dig into that book deeper. I have not had a chance to do that yet. But have you had a chance to read the book?
I haven't.
Find like a
You're,
Cliff Notes version or something, or like look at most commonly asked questions, or go stalk them on LinkedIn. This is that white woman, Saira Roy, the deconstructing, the deconstructing Karen thing. Everything you already know. White women, everything you already know.
it's deconstructing Karen.
No, no, no. Deconstructing Karen is the documentary you watched, remember?
Oh
About
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we had like mixed views on. But the book is
Yes.
White Women, Everything You Already Know. And we're going to have one of the authors of the book and of the documentary on the call with us.
These are the ladies from Race to Dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, sorry, I was just where you were going with the book. I'm like, are these the same people? It's the same people. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just
So
because we have like a full, like, like we're not like only speaking because if they've addressed something in their book and we talk about it, again, we only have 45 minutes, so it's not like it's like a in-depth, it's going to touch on different aspects of things, but I want her to like ensure that she feels like we've done our homework.
gotcha. Okay. So I mean, since you're reading the book,
Yes, I can focus on that, and then you can
we
like,
will focus on that. I'm gonna go watch some more of their Races to Dinners,
yeah,
and do a little research just on them how this got started, why it got started, what they're seeking to accomplish, their results so far. Um, I'm kind of in my mind, those were the questions that I was going to ask, um, because I wanted to intentionally have a conversation of like, do they feel like the style of it is effective based on what they're trying to
Yes,
accomplish?
I'm going to drop a link. There was a really interesting interview they did with some, like a group called Reparations for Slavery, where they specifically tackle race for dinner and how do they, what are they trying to accomplish? What is it driving? Blah, blah, blah. And there are some really interesting, um, what's it called? It digs a little bit deeper, so it gives you like the full context.
Okay.
Yeah. So only Regina can join us. Saira, we'll have to do another one at some other time, or we could do a LinkedIn live with the both of them at some point. But they're very hot on LinkedIn at the moment, so it'll also gain great traction for us. Because my goal is once we record on Thursday, I release that episode Monday of the following week, and then just as people are engaging with that, we drop our program at the end of that next week.
Fabulous. Okay.
So it should be good. They both are going to not she's not going to mince her words. She's going to be very, like, they're super direct. Like, check out their clip on Dr. Phil. I was like falling off my chair laughing at how they like push back at him and at these white women who's sitting on the stage just like, my life, you guys are calling me a racist, blah, all the shit. So I love their honesty there and everything else. But okay, you watch all of that stuff, get educated on that, and then we like kick it off with her. We will do an introduction outside of this, but we'll go directly into like race for dinner, dig, blah blah blah, books, etc. So I don't want to over prepare because I know you don't like that. So I'm not going to, because things will flow, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you need to prepare, that's just my style, Archita. So if you
No,
need to
I'm
prepare,
not
please.
imposing. That's what I'm saying. I'm not imposing. I'm going to prepare because that's how I like to like. I can't function otherwise. It drives anxiety for me. And when I say prepare, I'm just going to have like certain areas I want to touch on based on what I've themes that I've seen on the book. Um,
Hmm.
my focus is not going to be on, it's going to be more about like that allyship aspects of things, like how do you come and work on your anti-racist journey irrespective of how the hell you look, because we're all racist in our own way. So as a woman of color myself, I have all of the demons I'm like battling with. How do I work through that? But then how do I bring my white woman friends along that journey? Because I'll refer to that most recent report that was out, the chief diversity officers, where 81% of the chief diversity officers are fucking white women, which is a goddamn joke. So how do we change that narrative? How do we, I'm tired of education because people, they talk a lot about it, going and educating themselves. So I've got to figure out how I talk about it, because I think otherwise it's just going to be like me having a monologue.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I mean, what do we want to accomplish? Is it really just digging into their work? Is it, do we want the white women to follow us to get some tidbits out of this? Do
great
we
question.
want, what do
Yeah.
we want?
So I was thinking of our, what is our podcast focus, right? Like as a woman, as an only in the workplace, how do you want to embrace every aspect of it, and how do you find a way to thrive and not survive, right? So I want to center their work with a tie-in to this. So I don't have the answer to that. I'm trying to think how best to like tie it in right at the start to say that's why this work is so important that they're doing. For in order for women of like the onlys to thrive in the workplace, and if you look at it, women of color, whatever intersection that you're looking at, we need a core group of, because you don't like that aspect of things because you're like they're not going to change, they are who they are, or like you're like that. So that's the debate I want to have, is that we have two what's it called, uh, not chains of thought, two what's it called, schools of thought here, two schools of thought here, right? So that's the debate I want to have. So the focus of today's episode is, there is systemic this abe isms, there are systemic all these isms. To what extent do you take on the fight to ensure that you thrive while you're tackling this ism, and to what extent do you bring these allies along to deconstruct these isms that do exist?
So I just had a thought. I like where you're going with that, and I also think we could say we've heard a lot of our guests, which we have, raise issues, specifically the Black and Brown guests, say that some of the toxicity that they've experienced in the workplace has come at the hands of white women. So if you have people that are listening right now, both white and non-white, um, what advice do you have for these women that may be in the thick of it right now, that maybe, what have you learned doing Race to Dinner is the most effective way to gain allyship or to confront um, perhaps a toxic abuser at work that also happens to be female? How would you approach that if you're in that situation right now? Maybe that's how we tie it in, is to say people are reporting this happening. We've heard them talk about it in XYZ episodes. What advice do you have for them for overcoming this?
Yes, 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 because our leadership, our listenership is very white. Okay, so that's going to be the biggest kind of a point here, is that we have I mean, I want to kind of lead with the fact that we have amazing allies on, because we've never been this um, direct in calling to action our white listenership ever. This is going to be the first time we're going to do that. And it may piss some of them off because they'll be like, I never looked at race, blah, 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 blue, blue, blah. And be like, that's something where I would say that's what we're also like tackling. Like, we had this intense conversation on a WhatsApp chat with this How Women Lead group we were on. And this woman was like, I'm really struggling with people telling me that I'm a fragile white woman, and literally every one of the fucking leaders on there, the black women were like, yawn, Royal, come on. We can do better. So we're going to have a separate like video chat, because it's like, if someone like this who's doing the work, like race centered work, etc., is struggling with all of these like uh, alleged labels that she looks at as being labels for herself, where she feels like it's a double standard. And I think maybe that's something we also tackle, is that when we do talk about this work, a lot of white women directly, because I want to talk about like ERGs, right? Like a lot of ERG work, people are happy and content to focus on women issues, but the minute you intersect it with other aspects of being a woman, most of the white women are like, well, is it really that important? Because we need to have focus on one thing. We can't focus on multiple things. So the real issue is never, like, I've number of times I've heard it from fucking Lauren Benekis and Kate Stewart. I would literally lose my brain cells, right? No, Kate Stewart. No, what's our friend's name? Is it Kate Stewart?
Annie?
Katie. Yeah, Katie Stewart. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, oh, you're talking about Katie. I was thinking Annie, the DEI leader, but
Whole other story. Katie. So the thing is, that might be an interesting thing too. But I'm trying to think like your question though, because this is what I've been like mulling over. Like, how do we tie it in? We This one you've tied it into is you're in the thick of it, toxicity in the workplace, um, a thriving piece, and then do we just see where the conversation goes, or do we have like, I'll think about like one other kind of focus that ties into like our embracing only work.
yeah, I'll give it some thought as well. But I think this angle that you're going down, I definitely like, and I think it, what I want to be careful of. Well, two things. One, I'm not really concerned about being careful. If this is our platform, if people get pissed, they get pissed. Like sayonara, I'm fine with that. Um, but I do want to be sure, because there are white women that are doing the work, and then there are those that are not. And so, maybe it's more around questions. I don't know.
Which white women are doing
I'm
the
going to think
work?
about. I'm going to think about it a
Yeah,
little
think
bit more.
about it. Because you got to like look at some of the, like, when I think about some of the white women doing the work, I'm like, me 5 years ago would have been like, oh my god, you're an amazing ally, and me now educated, I'm like, fuck, you're not even like lifting the fucking book. You're like, oh, this empathy, vulnerability. That's what you should lead with. That's not you doing the goddamn work. you know so what does work look like to actually show up? And there's this freaking TV show I was watching, Ginny and Georgia. Bloody show has tackled this. What does white woman allyship really look like? This black girl is in school singled out every single time in English class by a fucking racist professor about like, can you pick a book about the African diaspora in America and lead the class discussion? While everybody else who had to pick a book, the teacher led the class discussion. So she chooses to finally stand up. And then her white friend comes along and is like, oh my God, I didn't know you were feeling so bad about it, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you've seen it. You chose not to act about or do anything about it. What are you going to do to show up? And then finally the fucking class showed up. Like, so this is what happens all the damn time. They're the first ones to run when we have a problem. To be like, I'm so sorry you're experiencing it. But in the thick of it, they're like, what would you like me to do? They're asking us for fucking solutions. But you
Yeah,
need
and it's interesting because they have no resiliency, Archita. Like someone broke this down on Instagram, I think, and I was like, wow. Because if you think about it, if you've never had to be resilient about anything in your entire life, right? And then we're asking them to show up and be resilient for us, it's the most terrifying thing because they've never had to do it, right? And it's not really their problem,
But
right?
they were
So
taught
it's
that being a
easy.
woman had to be real, they had to be really resilient because they had to be a woman in a man's world. That had to drive an immense amount of resiliency.
Not for white women, Archita. And this is why there was a book I read, oh my God, and it was about the whole woman movement, like back in the was it 70s, the whole women's liberation movement. And essentially it was saying that the way white men treat white women is that there's this good girl, right? Like so you're a good girl, you're always taken care of, you're super pure, you're not sexualized, right? And you're supposed to be placed on this pedestal and everything is supposed to be done for you. Now, the trade-off to that is that you control nothing, you have no money, you have no independence, you're just in your good girl cocoon, right? Whereas us, it's like, bitch, you are at war. Figure that shit out, right? From the minute we open our eyes, we are at war with this world. And so we're never put in a position where we're on a pedestal, we're being worshipped, we're the standard of beauty, we're this, that, and the other, right? So we've been fighting forever.
Mhm.
Whereas they all of a sudden decided, well, being on a pedestal is not enough for me. I want to control my own destiny. But where they already were, even back before women's liberation, was 75 steps ahead of where all of us was,
Sure,
right?
sure, yeah,
So we're asking them to confront a part of their history that they have not done to date. Does
yes,
that make sense?
yes. I'm writing that down. So that's an interesting part. That's an
Which is why my belief is they're not going to change. Like all of this work to educate this, that you can't unbreed everything that has been bred into them over generations, right? And at the end of the day, they are going to make decisions based on race first, not gender first. Every time.
mm. No,
They're going to align with
that's
the
going to be
white
an
men.
important topic. That's the one that I want to like for sure talk about. Is that we have two schools of thought where you are like this is not even possible, and I have this like insane amounts of like belief that yes, with true allyship, education, and bringing them along, they can unlearn these like systemic beliefs. So we shall see how this goes. This is
Yes.
good. I think we have
Yes.
some meat there with the three of those things, and we can do this. So yes, so